Hey everyone, welcome to our real interview experience series. As you know, we share our subscribers' interview experience here. So, one of our subscribers, Arman, recently cracked Java developer interview at TCS. I will add his LinkedIn profile in the description so you can discuss this interview with him as well. So, in this video, I'm gonna share everything about his experience, what he shared with me. And guys, if you have attended any interview recently, then fill the form below in the description. We will reach out to you. You can choose to share your name or share your experience anonymously. We are also giving gift cards to the participant, so don't miss out and don't forget to subscribe to catch more videos like this one. So now let's get started. So guys, basically he applied through Naukri.com for a role open for 3 to 5 year experience, and he's having 3+ years of experience in total. There were total 3 rounds. The first round was telephonic round, the second round was technical, and third round was HR. So I will discuss technical and HR interview here thoroughly. Okay. So first let's discuss the technical round. So in the technical round, interviewer first asks explain about a project you have worked on from scratch. The second question he asks, did you start the development from scratch or does the company provide a base project? Then third question, interviewer asks, what's the 30% performance improvement you claimed in your resume? Prove that you have improved your project by 30%. So answer for these questions may vary as per the individual's experience. And fourth question was, if new parameters are added to your project, how will you ensure the deadline is met? So guys, all these 4 questions are based on individual experience, as I already told you, and you have to answer this accordingly. Then interviewer asks, why do you use Eclipse instead of IntelliJ, and which version of Eclipse do you use? Sarman was using Eclipse in their project. So we use Eclipse because it's free, lightweight, and supports many Java tools well. It works smoothly on our system. We use the Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java and web developers. It suits our project, so we can say something like that. Okay. Then moving forward, interview asks, what version of Spring Boot and JDK did you use in your recent project? So it also depends. So we can say that I use Spring Boot version 3.2 and JDK 17 in my recent projects. They are stable, modern, and support the latest feature. This combination helped me build reliable and high performance applications easily and efficiently. Before moving ahead, guys, I would like to share one important thing with you. Actually, we had launched a complete interview preparation material, structured step by step by myself, expert and MNC's interviewers. And the best part is that now no one need to go anywhere else to prepare interviews. There is a 99% chance that interviewers will ask questions from this material. So guys, basically it contains a lot of material categorized by experience level, means each experience level has different material with all possible interview question and answers for Java, Spring Framework, Maven, Git, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Data, JPA, Kafka, Microservice, Java coding questions, Stream API coding questions, and many more. I have provided the link to get this in the below description if someone need this material, right? Plus 2 real enterprise client projects for reference with video tutorial, plus one-on-one lifetime doubt sessions, and the referrals to the big MNCs like TCS, Infosys, Deloitte, etc. Then I will provide the link for this as well in the description below. So now moving to our interview experience. Then guys, they ask, how will you upgrade your project from Java 8 to Java 17 and what are the major changes will be involved? So to upgrade from Java 8 to Java 17, we update basically the JDK in our project setting and fix any outdated code. Major changes include using var, switch, etc. Right? And then interviewer asks about Stream API. So this is very common question. So the Stream API in Java helps process collections like lists in a simple way. It supports operations like filter, map, and sort using a clean, readable style. It also makes working with data easier and can improve performance with parallel streams. Okay. Then he asks a difference between flat map and map. So people usually gets confused with this terminology. So the map method transforms each element into one value, while flat map transforms each element into a stream and then flattens it into a single stream. We can use flat map when each item returns multiple values or collections. Okay. Then guys, they ask about metaspace in Java. So metaspace is a memory area in Java used to store class metadata. It replaced PUM/Gen in Java 8. Metaspace grows automatically as needed using native memory, which helps avoid memory errors related to the class loading and improve performance. Then he asks about the features of Java 17. So Java 17 includes helpful features like sealed classes, pattern matching for switch, enhanced random number generators, and better performance. It's a long-term support version making it stable and reliable for projects. It also improves security and speed. Okay. So guys, an interviewer asks what are the features of Java 8. So this is most commonly asked question. So Java 8 introduced key features like Lambda expression, stream API, and function interfaces. It also added default methods in interfaces, the new date and time API, and the optional class. These features make code more readable, flexible, and easier to maintain. Okay. Then interviewer asks how does HashMap work internally after Java 8. So there were major changes happened after Java 8. So HashMap uses a mix of array, linked list, and balanced tree. When many keys hash to the same bucket, it changes the list to a tree for a faster search. This improves performance, especially with large or complex data. Okay. Then guys, interviewer ask about a transaction. So a transaction is a set of operations that must all succeed or all fail together. It's used in databases to keep data safe and correct. If one part fails, whole transactions is rolled back to avoid errors. Then he asked, why do you use transactional annotation? So this is most commonly asked question. So we use a transactional annotation to manage the database transactions automatically. It ensures all operations inside a method run as a single unit. If something fails, changes are rolled back, keeping data safe and consistent without writing extra code. Okay. Then guys, he asked about singleton. So a singleton is a design pattern that allows only one instance of a class to exist in the whole application. It's useful for shared resources like configurations or loggers and ensuring the same objects is used everywhere when needed. Then he asks a counter question like how does singleton work in a multi-threaded environment? So singleton uses synchronization to make sure only one thread creates an instance. This prevents multiple objects from being made. Techniques like double check locking or using an enum help ensure thread safety and better performance. Okay. Then he asked, how do you make a class immutable? So to make a class immutable, use final for the class and its fields, and don't provide setters and initialize fields only in the constructor. Also avoid returning references of mutable objects to keep the class safe from the changes. Then guys, interviewer asks the difference between a schema and database and where do we create and store table. So a database is a container that holds data. A schema is like a folder inside the database to organize tables. Tables are created and stored inside schemas, which are a part of the database to keep data structured and easy to manage. Then moving forward, he asks a microservice question like explain microservices in technical terms. So microservices are small independent services that work together. Each handles a specific business functions and communicates via APIs. They are deployed separately, allowing easier scaling, faster development, and better fault isolation compared to a single application. But it doesn't mean like microservice is always a best option. Then he asked about the circuit breaker pattern. So the circuit breaker pattern helps prevent system failures by stopping callings to a failing service. If error reaches a limit, it opens the circuit to block calls, then retries after some time, protecting the system from overload and improving stability. Then interviewer asks what annotations are used in microservice architecture. So this is a common question. So common annotations in microservice include REST controller for APIs, right? Spring Boot application to start the application, enable discovery client for service registration, fin client for calling other services, circuit breaker for fault handling. These help build, connect, and manage microservices very easily. Then guys, interviewer asks a counter question like how does a service register itself? Also a service register itself with a discovery service like Eureka. We can use the enable discovery client annotation and configuration in application.yaml. When the service starts, it sends its details like name and URL to the registry so others can find it. Then he asks about a Fin client. So a Fin client is a tool in a Spring Cloud used to call other microservices easily. It lets you write simple Java interfaces with annotations, and Spring handles the REST APIs calls behind the scenes, making communication clean and easy. Then interviewer asks how do services communicate internally. So services communicate internally using REST APIs or messaging queues. In REST, they send HTTP requests to each other using URLs. With messaging, they use tools like RabbitMQ or Kafka to send messages. Both way help services share data and work together. Then guys, interview asks how will you create a scheduler as a microservice? So this is a tricky question. So to create a scheduler as a microservice, we can use scheduled annotation in a Spring Boot application, right? We have to add scheduling settings in application YAML, right? And enable scheduling. The service run task at a fixed times without needing manual triggers or external tools. Then interviewer ask about REST API. So this is common or easy question. So REST API is a way for different systems to talk over the internet using the HTTP protocols. It uses the methods like get, post, put, and delete to work with data. REST APIs are simple, fast, and widely used in application. And previously we used to use the SOAP APIs as well. Then interviewer asks how will you identify that a project is based on microservice just by looking at it in Eclipse. So this is scenario based question. So in Eclipse, I can identify microservice project by seeing multiple small modules, each with its own application YAML file and Spring Boot application and REST controllers. Service often use annotations like fin clients enable discovery. So by looking these annotation, by looking application YAML for each service, I can guess whether this is a microservice or monolithic project, right? Then he asks what annotations or configurations do you use to work with multiple database in your project. So to work with multiple database, we should use primary annotation for the main data source, right? And create separate data source, entity manager factory, and transactional manager beings for each, right? We also use enable JPA repositories with different base packages to link repositories to the databases. Okay. Then interviewer asks what security parameters do you check while working with multiple databases. So this is a counter question. So when working with multiple databases, we should check the security parameters like strong authentication, encrypted connection, proper user roles and permissions, data encryption at rest, regular audit, secure backups, and avoid exposing database directly to the internet. Then he asked about CI/CD. So CI/CD means continuous integration and continuous delivery. It's a process where developers regularly merge code, write, and automatically test, build, and deliver software updates. This is kind of a pipeline. We could add multiple parameters here and making development faster, safer, and more efficient. Then interview asks what does Kubernetes do? So the Kubernetes helps manage and run many containers automatically. It controls where containers run, scales them up or down, handle failures, and make sure applications stay available and work smoothly across different servers or cloud environments. Then he asks what kind of deployment do you do and how. So I do automated deployments. So we should do automated deployments by using CI/CD pipeline. Code is tested, built, and then deployed to a servers or cloud environment. This ensures quick, consistent, and error-free releases, often using tools like Jenkins, GitHub Actions, or Kubernetes. Then he asks, how do you adapt to a new technology? So this is a generic question. So we adapt to new technology by learning its basics through tutorials, practicing with small projects, reading documentation, and asking questions to our friends or peers, right? We also stay updated with trends and seek help from communities to understand and use it effectively. Then they ask, where do you learn about new technologies in the market? So personally, I learn about new technologies from online courses, tech blogs, YouTube, official documentation, tutorials, developers communities like GitHub and Stack Overflow. I sometimes also follow tech news websites and attend webinars or conferences to stay updated. So you can also say to your interviewer. Guys, now I am gonna share the HR questions and I won't answer those questions. I will just share the question one by one, right? First question was, why do you want to work as a microservices developer? So you have to answer this as per your experience. Second was, what's your expectation from TCS? Third was, why did you switch from mechanical engineer to IT engineer? So Arman basically was a mechanical engineer initially. Then fourth was, where do you see yourself in TCS? Fifth was, why TCS? And sixth was, are you willing to travel anywhere in Mumbai? Because the location was Mumbai for this role. So guys, this is all about TCS technical and HR interview experience shared by Arman. And please don't forget to check interview preparation kit below in the description. Thank you.